original NES game collection vid here today. You can see some of them there. I figure I'm starting to box up games and stuff. So like I haven't done an NES collection in a while. I'll do the collection, throw them in a box with some other games. I'm gonna probably do that with my Xbox One collection probably later this week as well. I'm gonna keep the games I'm interested in probably playing before we leave out, so, but the rest I'm gonna box up and figure out maybe I do a video. They'll all be out, so. But yeah. I think I have like 33 or 34 games here. A good portion of these are actually my fiance, so it's technically a shared collection. First game is Anticipation. I loved this game when I was a kid. Nintendo's first video board game. It was made by Rare. You each pick like a thing, like a, Monopoly. You pick like a shoe or whatever the fuck, and as things starts drawing on the screen, you gotta kind of buzz in or whatever when you see what it's drawing. When you get an idea what it is, and you gotta spell out what it is. It's actually a pretty fun game. Let's try to get that. And all these people are super pumped. The one guy in the blue shirt there at the bottom of the controller looks familiar. Mario's missing. This is a educational game. You gotta like answer questions or whatever, and then you get closer to finding Mario. And you go to little towns and stuff. I believe this also was on the Super Nintendo, also because this is 93. I think there was a second one. Classic Concentration. This is when I got a garage sale. God. I don't know. Probably like 10 years ago. 9 years ago. This is based on the challenging television game shows Classic Concentration. So you can see as it shows on there, pieces start coming up. I want to say you have to match things first, and then stuff starts to appear, and you have to figure out what it is based on this. I don't even know what this one would be, so it'd be like M plus, and it's pointing to the I, so it'd be like my. I don't know. Like I said, that's what you have to do, though. You have to figure out based on that. Pretty kind of cool game. Classic Lemmings. They probably still make this game, but this is where you have to lead your lemmings around and stuff. You can lead them off cliffs and shit. I know this game's been on a ton of other systems. I don't even know where it originated. Maybe Atari or something like that. They've made other games. Like a lot of games follow that kind of this, like an Overlord even, and stuff like that. Solstice. This is like a room-based game. And then you go from room to room, trying to figure out, there's usually enemies in there, or puzzles you have to figure out, and you go to next ones and stuff like that, different obstacles. You'll see games like this. Like we got a couple on like the Xbox One that we downloaded. Like what was that one called? Lumo is similar to this. What this was. Pretty decent, though. Tetris 2, we do have the first one, but it's in a different spot. I prefer the first Tetris to this one, but this one did add some things to it. Silent Service, I had gotten this maybe a couple of years ago at one of the retro game stores. It might have been the Game Trading Post when it was in the Sunrise Mall in Massapequa. It's a pretty cool submarine game. I have like submarine games. Like even Hunt for Red October on the NES, Super Nintendo. I remember playing Steel Diver on the 3DS, and that was okay too, actually. It's a cool game where you use the periscope or whatever, and you're looking through, and you gotta see the boat, you send out torpedo or whatever. It's kind of like a simulation game. I'm trying to think of some other ones. The PS2 had some that were like you're using the sub going around blowing stuff up. Similar like Hunt for October. Maybe it's like 488 Attack Sub, which is more similar to this on the Genesis. I think it's called that. Mystery Quest. I believe this is a puzzle game. I'm pretty sure. Similar like rooms, like Solstice. Or like a Lolo. Pinball. This must have been a later copy because this, I think, was a launch game. Maybe it wasn't. Because it doesn't have the 5 screws, it's got the 3. I never played this one back in the day. Jeopardy, Game Tech again. Game Tech made all these TV show games into video games. It's the all-new Junior Edition. It's Jeopardy. You get different categories. This one's a little easier because it's Junior Edition, I guess. I feel like they made a decent amount back then. They probably had a sports version. They had the regular version. But it's Jeopardy. Easy game to make for any system. There's nothing to it, you know. There's not a lot of moving parts. A lot of these games do. The games that are in the sleeves typically are going to have the manuals. Super Pitfall. This game kind of sucks. This is my fiance's. I never liked this one. The original Pitfall is a lot better than this one. You see, here's a 5-pinner. Wrecking Crew. Programmable series, and they would always tell you, like the other one, I think had like action and sports. The older ones had this. Even some games by other companies, if they were early enough, would have the little thing down there. And you see how the top doesn't have the tab there either. On this side. Or both sides. This is a puzzle game too, I believe. I'm not super familiar with this one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first Ninja Turtles game. Not great. It's probably the weakest of all the Turtles games. This one is a different. It's probably the most ambitious of all of them. The other ones are straight up kind of arcade beat 'em ups. The arcade game, then 3 and Turtles in Time. Hyperstone Ice, then you got some fighting games. This one's like the Game Boy games are closer to this, but you use the turtle vantage points to go around the city, and then you're hopping into sewer holes, and then you got to get to certain buildings, and then there's the parts where you got to go underwater and disarm the bombs, which everybody hates. This is obviously one of the games that came from that G-Cell. It's in nice shape as well, and you use each turtle. And once a turtle gets, I think the turtle gets caught when you use your life, so you have technically 4 lives. A Nightmare on Elm Street. This is actually a 4 You're just running around during the daytime. It's fine. Then at nighttime or when you go to sleep, then more monsters come and stuff like that, and you deal with Freddy from time to time. You're going into houses, cemeteries, and shit like that. It's not that bad. It's better than the Friday the 13th game, I think. Jurassic Park. This is actually a pretty cool top-down game. They actually have a Super Nintendo version as well. It's top-down in the vein of like a Zelda. And you're in Jurassic Park and you gotta get certain things, collect eggs and get stuff. And it's like a river mission where you're on a little raft and stuff. Getting key cards and the like. I actually think it's pretty decent. This would have been a late era title too. There's the original Tetris. Still a classic, obviously. It's Tetris, fun music, exciting action. I still think the Game Boy version is the version to have. But this one's great too. They still make Tetris. Didn't they do like Tetris 99 or something? Yeah, it's a classic. The Adventures of Lolo. There's also a puzzle game where you're like going from room to room, avoiding obstacles, getting keys, that kind of thing. Hell, that company eventually made like Kirby's and stuff, I believe, right? Here's the second one, same kind of shit. I want to say the third one's the most valuable of the three of them. I can't remember when this one came out. Rad Racer. I want to say, yes, this is made by Square. Just Square back then, not even Squaresoft yet. And obviously years before they merged, or Enix merged with them. I'm pretty sure Enix was the one that kind of absorbed Square, and it just became Square Enix. They made some racing games. They've made racing games actually after this too. There's one on the PS2, I remember. But this is the sports series. Pretty good racing game. There was a second one as well. It was an old title. This probably could have been, it was 87. 2 years into the life of the NES here. I know the Famicom came out in 83 in Japan. Pretty good racing game though. It's pretty fun actually. I got a garage sale a while ago too. It was $2. It's always funny seeing getting the developers on their Square. I mean, some of these companies have been around for a long time. Obviously, Nintendo's been around since like the 1800s. They were not making video games back then. This is one of my fiance's favorite games, Bubble Bobble, another classic puzzle game. Where you're blowing bubbles, catching the enemies. I think you gotta get things too, I don't know. I think the second one of this one is worth a shit ton of money. It's like I feel like the second one's like a $300 game. Another one from the G sale that I went to, baseball. This cartridge has a burn in it. It does work though. Once again, another 5-pin game, so you're not getting the tabs there on the top. The sports series. It's actually a pretty good baseball game. You don't control the fielders. Like they'll move on their own, but then you throw the ball in when they get it. That's a pretty decent baseball game. Tiny Toon Adventures. We actually have a decent amount of Tiny Toon games. She likes these. She had these too, and then I got her one on the GBA, and actually I have the one on the Super Nintendo and one on the Genesis as well. based on the cartoon. Babs and Buster Bunny, right? I forget the names of the other people. It's actually pretty good. Pretty good platformer. Here's the second one. Trouble in Wacky Land. This does not have the full manual. I don't know much about this one. Monopoly. Actually, I don't think Game Tech would have made this one. Parker Brothers is all over this. Did they have a video game division? I guess they did. It's Monopoly. It's got the manual here. And the, see, I would have known if I had this, I would have pulled this out with the other things. When the hell was this made? 91. Monopoly. Everybody knows Monopoly. Double Dribble. Really fun basketball game, actually. They did make a second one on the Genesis, I believe. This one's got the classic, the kind of cut scene for the dunks and stuff, and then there's the three-point kind of glitch where you can always hit that, you run into the corner, I think, and jack up the three. It goes in like every time. And it's a cool basketball game. It's actually fun to play and actually still holds up gameplay-wise fairly well for a game that came out when. I want to say this might have been 87 or 88. Super Dodgeball here. Another one from that G-Sale. This one had the manual as well. I used to play the shit out of this when I was a kid. This is such a fun, just dodgeball game. People actually die too. When you wail on their little spirits go up to heaven. The thing goes up to heaven. It's dodgeball. You have people like on each team side has people on the opposite side. So you can throw it to the people who are on the outside, and then they can whip it at the people who are like on the court itself. And there's different countries and stuff, and you play through the tournaments and shit. Everybody has life bars and shit. This is in the same. This is in the same universe as like River City Ransom and stuff. I believe those games and the other sport games they have. Super WrestleMania. I played a little bit of this after I got it from the thing. It was not that great, admittedly. Does it tell you the wrestlers you can use? Usually it will tell you. Oh, yeah. You got Hogan, of course, Andre the Giant, Randy Savage, Honky Tonk Man, Bam Bam, Bigelow, and Ted DiBiase. Actually shows you all their moves and shit. There was a lot of a decent amount of wrestling games, I feel, on the Nintendo. Like even WWF ones. There was this Steel Cage. It might have been a King of the Ring one. Another absolute classic, Contra. This came from the G-Sale. Still just a super fun game. This is in really good shape, too. And the label on the bottom's coming up a tad, but it's in really good shape. Just a classic shooter. Super fun. It has top-down areas, too, when you go up there. Great music as well. Konami, you know, Konami's back to making some games now, some Silent Hills and stuff, but Konami has not been in good favor for a while. You know, they stopped making games for a bit, really. They haven't been making much good stuff, but them on the NES, and you're counting Ultra, their other pump out more games. They were putting out bangers, as they say. You had the Contras, you had the Castlevanias, you had Jackal, which is a freaking gem. Double Dribble was them. Russian Attack is them. Then under Ultra, you got Metal Gear. You have freaking the TMNT, the arcade. All the Turtles games, I think, were under that one. Actually, the third one might have just been Konami. Silent Service, I think, was too, actually. They were doing a lot. Although Silent Service, I think, was published by them. I don't think they developed it. They were pumping out some good Goonies, too. A cool fucking game for the NES. They were doing some good shit on the NES. Life Force. Was Konami Gradius? I'm not sure. Mission Impossible. Talked about this a little bit. There's another one I got. It was $5 when I got it from the game store and had the manual, which is cool. Similar to a Metal Gear. You can use different characters and stuff. Same thing. I think they get like caught and stuff and they have different abilities. The top-down game. Well, let's end with a bunch of Marios. Dr. Mario. Pretty good puzzle game that I've always sucked at for whatever reason. Like if I play someone two-player in this, I always get destroyed. I'm just like not good at it. But you have to get rid of the viruses by matching up the colors of the pills. How real medicine works, actually. Super Mario Duck Hunt combination. This came from the garage sale as well. So it's nice to have the first one. Like I said, I kind of want to get a standard def TV. Like I said, my aunt has one that I might end up just taking and replacing it. Like getting her a small HD TV for that room and taking that one just to have, because then I could use that light gun again. Play some Duck Hunt. Both classics. Mario Brothers is an absolute classic, obviously. Duck Hunt's solid too. A solid light gun game with the annoying dog. Mario 2. I got this in 3 for my fiance. This is probably like 7, 8 years ago now. Oh, Vive, and they're still, I mean, they're not overly expensive now, but they weren't that expensive when I got them. Mario 2 is obviously reskinned. It's another game. It was a Doki Doki Panic there. They didn't think we could handle Super Mario Brothers 2 normally, but this is a classic game, though. It introduces a lot of the class. You know, Yoshi, I believe. No, not Yoshi. Birdo is the one they show. You fight Birdo like every time. The Shy Guys are in this one. And you can use all 4 of the characters. They have different things. Like Toad can pick the stuff up quicker to throw it. Peach can kind of float. Luigi has a higher jump. Mario's kind of a good mix. Get a lot of turnips from people. It is still actually a really good game though. And a lot of people's favorite, Mario. Not my personal favorite. Super Mario Bros. 3. It is awesome though. I want to say Mario World probably is. I really like Super Mario 64 as well, and I mean I like a lot of Mario games, even like Mario Wonder and Odyssey, and if you're going by the 2D Marios, or at least the side-scrolling ones, Mario World's my favorite. Classic game, and it had the worlds. It had the game overworld map, and there's a little thing. You go into the little Toad hut, and you play a little card game. Hammer Brothers would randomly appear, I think, in different spots. Of course, you get the warp whistles and shit. A lot going on in this game. This game was a massive deal when it came out. People were just like, oh my god, and they put it in that movie. It was The Wizard. So that was called with Ben Savage. It was in there. I think that was just part of like the ad almost for the game, but people were losing before this came out. When did this come out? It was like 89 or 90. Lived up to the hype because it was awesome. But yeah, that's the NES collection. There's still are games I want to pick up. I might pick up a few more before we leave. I mean, there's plenty of games I'd like to get for the Nintendo, but I'm not going nuts money-wise. and some of the packs you can buy. I'm not even counting like Nintendo Online on the Switch or anything. I'm talking about like other compilations from other game companies that aren't Nintendo. Like Capcom has the one that I have on the Xbox One. It's got 2 DuckTales games, Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, 2 Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers games as well. And like I have the Castlevania and the Contra. I have the Castlevania one on the Switch that has Castlevanias throughout their existence, but it has all the NES ones, including Kid Dracula, I think, which is only on the Famicom. The Contra one has the Contras. Like I think there was Contra Super C, and I think there was one other one for the Nintendo. I can't remember. There's plenty of other games, and you can get a lot of NES games for cheap. So it's actually, if you're into game collecting and you want to collect retro stuff, the NES is a good way to go because there's a lot of games 10 and under for the NES. Maybe they're a little more now because the game prices just keep going up. The retro game shit. But, something like a Rad Racer is going to cost you probably like $6. Silent Service was like $5 or $6. The Mission Impossible game was $5, and I only got that this year. Well, sorry, 23, not 24. We're in 24. I got it in 23. But anyway, it's just another collection vid, and thanks for checking this out. And have a good day.